All right. Hey, good morning, YouTube. What is going on? Let this thing get warmed up a little bit. Taking a look at the weather out there. A little bit calmer than it was the other day, but we've had quite the events since. Still storms going on out there, some flooding, big tornadoes in Missouri the other day. If y'all didn't see, um, there was still people out there homeless probably today. So prayers for those people out there like that. Let's see. A pretty decent amount of rain up there in Idaho, it looks like. Actually, commented in on Poco Locos did a video yesterday. He was talking about the Boise River was up, but we getting rain here as well. But it's all good this time of year. A little bit of rain goes a long way. See, checking on the side chat already. We got Rob Painless joined us. What's up, Rob? You getting rain last night too? Yeah, I bet that's that big swath coming through Texas there. Garden will be happy. Yeah, right. Bobby, what's up, Bobby Solar Homestead? Good morning. Hope things are going. Bobby's getting batteries stocked up for his solar array. Showing him off yesterday. That was good stuff. I need to duplicate Bobby's efforts. I haven't got that far just yet, but that's some good stuff, Bobby. That's pretty awesome. Bone dry where you are? Oh, that's no fun. Well, it was just raining like a madman last month there, wasn't it? Or maybe it was up more north. I know up in the mountains they had rain and rain and more rain, and then it was snowing the other day. Where was it that? Oh, it was funny. A picture that um, the California Highway Patrol put out the other day on the Twitter, uh, digging through chain controls and snow the week before Memorial Day. It was pretty funny, but it is what it is, I guess you'd say. Let's see here. Let's roll out of here. Um, what else is going? My okay, there we go. I was looking at my streaming counter and my numbers weren't looking good, but I think we should be running 5x5, so that's good. It looks like there's plenty of water heading east there, Bobby. If you might catch some of that, if it doesn't die out in the mountains there. Frank Burns, yeah, good morning, morning. So yeah, lots of water out there. Some flooding situations going on. Check your local area, or if you're near the river, I guess you'd say. So we'll start off with that. Uh, start off with our bug out scenario of the day. Um, it's some pretty impressive. I don't know about impressive. Barges escaping on the river, coming down into the spillway of the dam here. But you'd wonder how much something like that would damage a dam like that. But where did they go? And barges aren't exactly what would you say, flimsy. Pretty durable stuff, but these are carrying 4,000 pounds of fertilizer. So that's the issue. That's going to be a fish kill issue right there. So the concern, I guess, was there was an evacuation order issued. It just kind of flashed across the screen there because of the potential for more flooding. But this is Weber's Falls, Oklahoma, was ordered to evacuate because of the potential flooding. So talking about a unplanned bug out scenario, kind of like what Sparks went through. Unplanned, but I mean he had a plan, but out of nowhere, directly having to bug out. I guess there's always an example of as much as I hate to look at it, there's always a situation that could come up that are way out of your control and way unforeseen to make you have to get out of town. Um, but I guess this dam is near Little Rock. It says the Corps of Engineers near Little Rock inspected it, reported minimal damages. So I guess it was middle of the day yesterday or something. Article just came out yesterday evening. They weren't worried about the dam failing. People in Tulsa have evacuated neighborhoods along the Arkansas River, and they're releasing more water from the Keystone Dam. So they're doing dam flood control, but having to flood areas to mitigate it, probably to prevent flooding in some areas. You got to flood others. Is one of the situations you get into. Interstate 40 was closed for a while. We talked. That's been going on for a while now. Um, so imagine. I wonder how big the town of Weber's Falls is. They were urged to evacuate immediately and say that the barges had the potential to hit the dam, and if it breaks, it will be catastrophic. So those two barges they were concerned could, I guess, take down some of those concrete pillars. I guess they were coming downstream with some pretty good speed, but they broke apart way before that concrete did. It looked like. So it looks like the barges passed under the Highway 62 bridge without hitting anything. The barges got stuck on a jetty outside a mile and then broke free. This is last night, 5 p.m. A mandatory evacuation was issued. .600 residents, 70 miles southeast of Tulsa. That's where this all went down. And then there was the Jefferson City tornadoes the day before. If anybody didn't see that, some pretty dangerous stuff. This house was washed away into the river. I had never seen a house just uproot like this, completely off its foundation and just went into the river. If you didn't see this is, I don't know. I've never seen nothing like a whole house. I've seen houses slide into the ocean in California when they have those, seas, and they wash out the cliff underneath them. But I'd never seen a river just swallow up a house like this. So it's high water, I guess you'd say. Don't live in a flood zone, people. Farm in a flood zone. That's where the good farming land's at. But you can't not to live there. And there it goes. Who else we got checking in here as we watch the house wash away? Team Foco's with us. West Wind Survival. Good morning. Oh, we got all kinds of people checking in here. I was ignoring the side chat, watching all the cool videos. Yep. We'll see you later, Team Foco. Thanks for dropping in. Barry Woods with. Hey, Barry, haven't seen you in a while. Looks like you're getting a little wet up there your way today. The Northwest is definitely getting its share, or has gotten it this week. Midwest Prepper, good morning. Got to know your limitations. You talking about us or some of this flooding issues with the dam and whatnot? Delaware Patriots here. Good morning. How you doing? I got to catch up on your last video there, Delaware. I'm negligent. That looked interesting. I guess that's on the Cimarron River. So lots of flooding. There you go. More storms. It looks like probably we'll be pushing east, upper Midwest there, and more coming out of the Rockies, it looks like. So the weather is always going to, just when you think you got everything figured out, the earth and Mother Nature will put us in check in a heartbeat. Talk about knowing your limitations, right, Midwest? Starting to rain for you, Barry. Good morning, Rooster Cogburn. Thanks for checking in. From behind enemy lines, even. All of Delaware is a flood zone there, Delaware. Yeah, I would imagine so. It's not exactly on the high ground, is it? Oh no, Delaware's got us all cornered on this Friday Friday morning. He's out fishing already. Man, you have won the deed of the day. Are you getting some good video out of that, or what? We're going to see some video of what you're catching. Or are you just going to tell fishing lies and fishing stories? So that's kind of your bug out news story to motivate you to continue to prepare and have a plan, right? Make sure you know all the threats in your area. Although I think everybody near those rivers probably knew that they had flooding as a potential issue. I would hope they would, at least, even if they were new. Hopefully, come as a surprise to know. I hope everybody's got their coffee stocked up. Getting through mine, but let's get this warmed up. Yeah, that's the wonder of modern technology, Delaware. No more fishing stories ain't acceptable anymore. It's got to be on video, which can be doctored, of course, and touched up themselves. All those fancy editing programs. So, news of the day. We'll start off with probably well, not necessarily impactful, but significant at this point. Uh, the Brexit issue has brought Theresa May down, and she has resigned. Um, they're calling Brexit a crisis, which is funny because if they would just do it, it wouldn't be a crisis. They have created the crisis by refusing to do what the people have told them, and here we are. Um, so she has announced she is resigning. Looks like a couple hours ago, published 4 hours ago, while we were sleeping in the dark of the night. Um, the Brits had some form of elections going on. There's EU elections going on as well, which I don't understand how that ties in, but it does. I guess it's um, not exactly the same, but it's kind of like state level elections versus federal, even though it's slightly different because the relationship is different, even though the EU wants to have that federal dominance over the member states, but they're not quite there yet. But they Brexit is definitely going to put a South Carolina moment on them, maybe. um, so she did a speech. She did everything she could to persuade the MPs to back the withdrawal agreement she negotiated with the European Union, which was basically not an agreement. It was basically, hey, we're going to have the same type of deal. We're just going to say that we're not part of the EU. May's plan was very watered down type of Brexit, which is why everybody was satisfied with just doing what they call a hard Brexit. And we won't have a deal with the EU. We'll just do it. People were much happier with that than with her deal that she had negotiated, quote, end quote. She is stepping down on June 7th, is the day she has announced. Somehow they call the party she's a part of the Conservative Party, which is bizarre. Uh, but I guess there's people more liberal than her. um, and let's see what kind of video we got here. This real wrap up that spin that CNBC puts on it. Sure, it'll be quite the spin. If it'll load. And commercials. All right, let's go. Let's get through the commercials and everything. Well, okay, yada, yada, yada.
British Prime Minister Theresa May resigning as Prime Prime Minister, she will do this on June 7th, which is weird. Even sometimes CEOs, when they know they're leaving, they go, I'm leaving.
Who's stepping in this situation? There's a little bit of chaos to be left.
Could it be Bojo? It's not going to be Nigel, right? Let's go. We need, you know what?
Nigel Farage has been on the rise.
I know he has. He's a piece of work. And so is this next guy, Steve Sedgwick, in London. Good day, Steve.
Yeah, it's been quite an incredible few days actually this week, because look, a lot of people have been calling the demise of Theresa May, and we've talked about this many times on Scorebox over the last couple of years. In fact, since she came in after the Brexit debacle, where Mr. Cameron and Mr. Osborne resigned in the middle of 2016 on the back of losing the vote, well, certainly how they voted for it as well. So Mrs. May has been talked about in quite derogatory terms by large parts of her party and large parts of the country, but she's stuck at it for a very, very long term. But this week, her time was up. And let's just listen in to a very emotional Theresa May, literally, within the last hour.
But it is now clear to me that it is in the best interests of the country for a new Prime Minister to lead that effort. So I am today announcing that I will resign as leader of the Conservative and Unionist Party on Friday the 7th of June, so that a successor can be chosen.
The one thing that Mrs. May was in power to do was to deliver Brexit. That's pretty much what she said all the way through. And if we're going to judge her on that, then she has failed to deliver Brexit as well. She's had some insurmountable odds, of course, within Parliament, within her own party, a very split party as well. And as you've all been saying as well, who will come next is absolutely key for not only the Conservative Party, but for the country as a whole. Because do we get a Remainer as a Prime Minister who, as the Prime Minister just said, seeks compromise, or do we get a harder Brexiteer, the likes of Boris Johnson, who you mentioned, or maybe a Dominic Raab, or maybe even an Andrew Leadsom, the leader of the House, who quit the cabinet early in the week and perhaps led to the series of events to the resigning of Mrs. May today. Lots of big questions, and I can't give you the answers because it is a long and convoluted process to find a new leader, first of the Conservative Party, and then that person becomes the Prime Minister, because Mrs. May is staying on, as she said, till June the 7th. Now, that will include President Trump's state visit and indeed the period where he's in Normandy to commemorate and see the memorials for the 75th anniversary of D-Day as well. So a very poignant ending to Mrs. May's prime ministerialship. And thereafter, she stays on, though. That's the point, as Prime Minister, until we have a new leader of the Conservative Party. I'll very quickly tell our viewers how that happens. One, anyone can put their name in the hat if they're an MP as well. There's very low barriers to entry. And then there's a whittling down process until there are only two candidates left, the best two candidates with the most votes as well. And then they go to the Conservative Party members throughout the country. That is exactly 125,000 members of the Tory Party. And that whole process could take, well, certainly this month, certainly next month. People are saying it could be towards the end of July before we get the next leader of the Conservative Party, hence the next leader of the country. And then the Brexit process will start again, because we just don't know which way the new Prime Minister will.
All right, so they're going through the... Oh, there it is. There's the end. So it's interestingly, I was thinking that this might cause some chaos in the markets, but I think the markets are holding out hope that Brexit won't happen still. But there didn't seem to be much chaos in the economic market when that news came out. It was kind of baked in already, it looks like. I can't imagine somebody getting in charge that is going to try to keep Britain in the EU still after all the things that happened to her in watering down a Brexit. So that's what's going on over there with their continued issues. They're months overdue to be out of the EU. They're still getting their feet dragged as they try to find any excuse not to, basically, it seems like. Key tell here, previously May had worked at the Bank of England. Oh, go figure. What are the odds? Why you would choose a banker to do... Yeah, anyway. All right. So that's the big news. What's going on in the side chat? Oh, no. Third Delaware Patriot got his bash. All right. All right. Video will be up by the end of the day, right? Bobby's drought situation. Things are upside down. Hey, old bag, how you doing? Are you gonna send her to the? Hey, how you doing? Yeah, the Brexit. You're gonna send her to the Tower of London. If the only things work that way, you might get more accomplished, right? Old bag. We actually had that type of. Same with Macron over in England. If you still had that type of weight over somebody's decision making, you could maybe get more accomplished if they knew there were serious repercussions for not delivering right on their deal. Thanks for checking in, old bag. We should have been out a long time ago. Yeah, exactly. But it's obvious stall tactics to make the British people feel so much pain that they will want to stay. You know, gasoline prices peaked just in time for Memorial Day, but if you haven't been seeing, the oil prices cratered the other day. They went down 5% just on the China trade deal, not moving forward. So that was going on. So might see a little bit of respite, a little bit less at the pump, a little bit lower prices. It's kind of bounced back a little bit in the last 2 days, but we were at 61, 62 and it dropped down to 58. So that's good. Hopefully help us out a little bit in the pocketbook, What in the world is all that racket? Stand by. Just a second. All right. No worse for wear. All right, here. So kind of the check-in on what's going on across the pond. And thanks for checking in, old bag. Probably got the best on-the-ground perspective. Some moving on down the road. Anything new in the sideshow of impeachment continues down the way over here. What's this about? Doctored video drama. Anyway, all right. That sideshow continues. Speaking of the economic move, Zero Hedge had an interesting article. Yes, all this stuff up front here, these are all in the links in the description box if you wanted to drift over and look through them yourself. But we always talk about the treasury bonds being a key to a lot of what's going on. I've always tried to emphasize the focus on how that is driving the train on so much of this stuff, and key indicators like we've talked about the inverted yield curve, which affects so much of what goes on. But what are we down to today? We were at 2.3 something and recovered a little bit, but still almost down the 2.2 range, which is just insane when you think about back in December we were in the 3.1 range. That's a huge, and it's not a dive necessarily, but a huge change in a short period. And with the Fed not doing anything to raise rates, with them basically offering free money up to everybody, it's weird because the bond rates and these what they call the treasuries, the yield, the percentage they'll give you on your investment basically goes down the more money that goes into them. So these percentage moves down mean people are putting more and more money into U.S. treasuries. They're basically buying U.S. debt, right? They're loaning the government money for less and less return. Why anybody would do that in the current situation is beyond me. And it gets more and more worthless this year as it goes on, but people are still dumping money into it. It doesn't make any sense in a logical sense. But that's what's going on. So they're going to say they're, I guess, going to tell us what's behind all this. So the U.S. Treasury briefly went below the 10-year yield, briefly below 2.3, which we just looked at there on the bond market, has bounced slightly up above 2.3, but it's lowest since 2017. So the inverted yield curve, which we've talked about between the 3-year and the 10-year, the 6-month yield of the 6-month bond was the highest. Gregory Mannarino talked about that yesterday. Basically, you can give the government the same amount of money, and you'll get the same return in 6 months as you would you get more return. You get more money back after 6 months than you would after 10 years. How does that make sense? You bought $1 million at the 6-year or 6 month, you'd get more money back than if you give the government $1 million for 10 years. I can't even fathom how that works, but anyway. And this all affects the national debt too and how that works, but that's a whole nother problem. And this pushed all bond yields left of the 30-year below the federal funds rate. So the federal funds rate that the Fed has set, basically they're saying all the other types of years of yields are lower. So see if we get some of this technical stuff without letting our head explode. The question on every board trader was when as stocks were tumbling, capital seemed to flood into rates. One explanation or attempt thereof, Ian Lingen, who writes that there are certain days when the price action is the key development. Thursday fits this characterization. In short, the price made the price, which makes sense since there was no notable fundamental development to justify the third biggest percentage drop in 10-year yields in the past 12 months. Okay. It doesn't make sense. It just happened. That's the way I read that. Another quote. Another aspect of today's rate move was not as widely discussed. The collapse in break-evens. The drop in yields, given the lack of major new fundamental information, reflects a series of major technical levels being breached in short order amidst a very bond bullish backdrop. Several major benchmarks simply repriced toward the bottom. We're not yet back in the land of 1% yields, which was where we were a couple years ago. More interesting, consequential came in running counter to policymaker ambitions. Yeah, this is tough to read. So this is odd considering the increasing greater number of strategists concede that a full-blown trade war, which includes tariffs on Chinese exports, would result in sharply higher, if transitory, inflation. You would expect higher prices, right, in a trade war. There's a chart there. Escalation would have a much larger effect on inflation. Anyway. So they're predicting here the slightly possibility of interest rates could go lower. So if you're looking to buy a house, maybe you hold out. You might get a really good deal on an interest rate, which is what they want. They want this free money because that keeps everything churning right along in some respects. But it's just bizarre how it's working out with so much uncertainty, I guess you'd say. Like they're talking about inflation should be going higher. These bond rates going lower with interest rates is not a good indicator. And that inversion is a big thing to watch when short-term bond yields are higher than the long term. Another quote summary here is, this is yet another de-inflationary impulse for the Fed to contend with. And they close out with, as a possible bullish risk in coming weeks that would catalyze a rather sharp flight to quote quality and likely push part of Treasury market back below 2%, which doesn't make any sense. But anyway, all right, that's just it. Those that are into that kind of get it, the implications of it. Those of you that don't care probably just had your ears bleed for the last 5 minutes or so. But that is significant in the economic side. And it's all going down. Counter indicators and things that don't make sense, but all lead to a destruction of the economic marketplace, might be a way to describe it. Something's going to come to a head at some point. Either interest rates or markets are going to lose out. Let's see. The market should be open here. Let's see what we got. See who checked in. Backcountry Preps. Hey, good morning. Saints and Sappers. What's going on? Grim Outlook. Isn't it like that everywhere we look, Saints? Bobby's off to feed and water. We'll talk to you later, Bobby. Have a good one. We'll be back here if you're still around. Walter Davis is with us. Good morning. And Mountain Man. What's going on, Mountain Man? Good morning. How's things in the back there in Arkansas? We were just talking about the flooding going on in Arkansas River. That lake near you. Hopefully it's not flooding you out. We were catching some of that up on the weather there. There's some pretty significant stuff going on back there, Mountain Man. Hopefully it's not affecting you. So the weather, flooding, Brexit, the bond market, some positive news, some good news that we go here. 3D guns are unstoppable and here to stay. Can't go wrong with that, right? This is via shtfplan.com on the Zero Hedge here. This will be in your description box links. An entirely decentralized network of self-defense rights active advocates have taken to the internet to provide plans for 3D printed guns. It looks like 3D guns are unregulable and unstoppable. They're anonymously sharing the blueprints and advice while simultaneously building an unstoppable community. You can only hope, right? I wish I had a 3D printer. They look like they'd be pretty handy if you got the right type. You can build just about anything. It's just a matter of having the right materials, I guess. So this is entirely decentralized, as most of us know. Um, 3D printing gunsmiths. Iva knows that at least 100 people who are actively developing 3D printed gun technology. And he claims there are thousands taking part of the network. Yeah, I would say there's probably at least that many. And this spans the entire globe. So we're talking about places probably where they aren't authorized to buy any type of firearm. Probably this is probably going on as well. Exchanging 3D gun CAD files, advice, theory, collaborate on future blueprints. You could see a whole different style of gun after stuff like this going on. I mean, you figure you can 3D print a concept design and work through the model before you go forward with a polymer. I would think makes it easier to test out ideas too with the 3D printer. I'm sure those forums are well infiltrated though, so they might want to watch out. They seem to think that they're unfindable. I wouldn't say that's necessarily true. They hypothesize here that's much to the chagrin of authoritarians worldwide. Coming for an entire network of people is virtually impossible, although the feds have shown they're very capable of doing it. Don't think that you're impervious there, 3D gun people. 3D guns wouldn't be such a popular market if governments stopped trying to take rights away from people and enslave them. This Ivan guy says, and others like him continue to help people regain their freedom from the violent authoritarians running the world governments, right? One of the most recent videos, or his most recent videos, I guess on one of these websites, shows a polymer Glock 17 in various stages of production in his workshop. The footage is set. The aesthetics are important. Yada yada. Anyone can make it. So that's via Wired UK. I guess they did an article on it as well. I guess has a YouTube channel. Oh, it's another one of those back channels of YouTube. 3D printing, gun printing community. Who knew? They've named their group Deterrence Dispensed. 3D printing gun company. So that was an interesting article. I was thinking there might be more technical stuff into it, but they're just talking about this 3D printing community that's sharing stuff and getting it done, I guess you'd say. Kind of commenting on the Wired UK article. And just the the distributed nature of the net with passing those plans around. Like for the 3D printed bump stocks is going pretty much nonstop as well now. Unstoppable might. We'll see how far that goes though. Start printing. If we can start 3D printing some miniguns or something, we'll be in good shape. M249s and M60s and stuff. See, we got Irish UMC vet just checked in. What's going on, Irish? They always show a picture of a Glock when they talk about 3D printing Westwind. Yeah, that's true. Was that didn't hit me as a Glock when I first saw that image. Is that a Glock? That right? That looks like a different side of type of frame there, but anyway. Right, I don't think they're exactly Mountains Man, they're not exactly a replacement right now, but they're definitely a work in progress. Like they're saying, they won't be stopped. You know, they're progressing at the rapid rate as they can. Like I'm talking about through these groups of sharing ideas and stuff. You know, that's what it's all about. Is just sharing plans and potential and development and getting it to where it does work. You know, And that's one thing, is we could come up with a whole different design of how it even functions through 3D printing. You can do multiple test runs and multiple designs to see what works and what doesn't with a minimal amount of time compared to what it used to take to, hammer out steel and iron and everything in the old days. To do a test model took forever. With these things, it's much simpler to develop something to see if the function even works, you know? So that's maybe the advantage it has over traditional methods, I would think. But pretty cool stuff. DARPA wants to create mind-controlled weapons of war. I thought that was a given. That's no news. No new news there. That's pretty much common knowledge, isn't it? Yeah, the EU parliamentary elections going on. That's coming up. I guess that's all weekend is what it is. If there's anything new popping up this morning. Drift over, see what the Drudge. What else is going on out there? Oh, the misleading articles. Yeah, what are the odds, Wayne? Right, the article misleads people. Are you kidding me? Oh, Irish has got the idea, I guess. If you got $8,000 to drop, get your own CNC and make anything. Yeah, I guess that's true. That would definitely be an advantage. Then I'm sure there's people out there doing it, right? What are you adding to the food forest this time of year? They're Irish. You're just talking about CNCs. Now you're talking about food forest. I'm not sure where you were going. Oh, you're busy. You're busy planting. Oh, I had to go like 3 comments up. All right. So yeah, I think we're running through, winding down here. Anybody got anything on their top of their radar to bring up that seems interesting? Lower gas prices would be interesting, though. That'd be a nice one. We'll see if that ever happens. Skype co-founder is desperate to save humanity from AI. Right? It would be somebody's going to have to. Software AI is going to kill us. It's all been pre-told. Anybody downstream in Mississippi better watch out. Have appropriate evacuation plans in order, as we discussed at the beginning. Propping up the U.S. housing market. Yeah, like the low interest rates isn't enough. Investment people probably driving it too. Hey, good morning, Toxic Threads with us. Good morning. How's things going, Alicia? Looks like you're getting some rain out your way overnight. Oh man, good morning. How are you? Thanks for checking in. Irish has got all his plant types figured out. End mill pollinators and nitrogen fixers. Way too complicated for me. Wayne's got it all figured out, right? We're going to have a combination future where Terminator and Idiocracy become a documentary. Yeah, we're in the middle of it. We're in the lead up phase to all of those, right? We're screwed. Of our own arrogance and ignorance, both. Right? Hey, Jay Sparks, what's going on? Rain for you. Rain, right? A lot of rain here for the desert. We've been getting this whole week has been just crazy. No top down this week. Yep. No top down for us today or tomorrow. Sounds like it might clear up beginning of next week. You know, maybe. Speaking of rain, where you at? Oh, it's going to start over. Iris says it's easy. Layer much native products to fix the soil. Did you mean to say layer? Layer mulch? Oh, layer mulch. Oh, lay mulch. Oh, I see. There's not many native plants worth eating, I think might be the problem. Oh yeah, Uman, we started with that right off the top of the bat. Yeah, that's what we led with at the beginning of the chat was that those barges and the downstream evacuation of that town and stuff, kind of talking about the bug out preparedness scenario when you're forced to bug out and you didn't even plan to. Things way outside your control, be ready, right? Yeah, we saw that right off. That's still ongoing. That water, that big band of rain there you see still moving east. Looks like you're going to have increased rain this afternoon in those areas, so it ain't over with yet by a shot. They're testing a scanner in Utah to scan people for guns. Is that right, Toxic? Huh. Um, you didn't mean the UCLA of Utah. That doesn't make any sense. Is that the U of Utah? People of Utah? I don't know who's not happy. I imagine everybody's not happy. But covered by the Deseret News, basically the airport everywhere. Huh. So they were testing it. The feds were testing it at TSA points in the airports. Is that what was going on? That's interesting. Where did you see that? The Deseret, you said? We'll see if we can find that. We'll close out with that if the Twitter machine doesn't have anything remotely interesting, which it probably won't, as I've seen so this morning. Let's see. Is this a recent story, Alicia? Or is it accessible on the front page, I guess? Maybe not. Oh, you want to see how they're going to get those out of there, Uman? Yeah, they didn't talk about that, I don't think. Yeah, they didn't. They showed them. They broke up a little bit. They might just break themselves apart until they go through. It's hard to tell, but local police, Utah. Let me see. Is it in the Utah section of the online page there? Yeah, we all get fat fingers on our phones, right, Irish? Oh, I see you got Utahns running illegal poker games there, Alicia. Like it's federal charges. It's not even local. That's funny. People shot by police. Oh, Google Hexa scanner? That's interesting. We had men suspected of stealing 28 guns from storage shed. Now, so before I find that other article, this is funny. In any other state, this would be a different type of news because they would accuse, they would say the thieves uncovered an arsenal and the police arrested the homeowner too, probably. But in Utah, the thief is taken to justice appropriately. Well, is that gonna? Don't put your guns in a storage shed. That's not. It's not the best cash method, I would say there. For one, don't keep all your eggs in one basket. 28, my goodness. I wonder if it's a storage shed or a storage locker, like a paid storage area. Northern Utah storage shed. This is how old? A couple days, probably. Yeah, a couple days ago. Theft and second-degree burglary charges secondary felony burglary and third-degree felony. Yeah, storage unit. This is from a storage unit. Don't put all your guns in storage units. Bad idea. Let's see. What was I Googling here? Hold on. Oh, it looks like it's going to pop up here. Wait. No. No, let's see. Why does nobody have a wrench? Did something? Well, Walter does. Okay. No news. Yeah, that didn't bring anything up. Alicia, is that spelling correct or a different name for it? Maybe that brought like zero. Like even in the news section, didn't bring up anything. Maybe they've already eliminated it from the web. Can hidden scanners fire weapons in crowds? Utah will test. Okay, I think I found something. Okay, here we go. This is kind of it's not via Deseret, but it's only 2 hour old. So this is a current via a technology website. But again, your public service message is don't put 28 guns in a storage container and expect them to be safe. Putting way too many eggs in a basket. So hidden scanners find weapons in crowds. Utah will test new technology. Hexwave is the name of the country, the company, it looks like. So there's what you're getting after, Alicia. Can be hidden in walls and other structures as scans for objects, guns, knives, and explosives obscured by clothing or bags. The Liberty Defense website. That must be who. revealed it. Oh, is it? That's it? Wow, that was short. They don't have a link to what they source link. Okay, here we go. Governing. This is of this morning as well. Let me get this over into the description box for later uses as well. Utah Attorney General is partnering with the Georgia-based Liberty Defense to test and promote a product that uses 3D imaging and artificial intelligence to detect concealed weapons. It's just like in the Arnold movie where he was going to Mars, where they detect him as he walks through the scanner there. It's not like metal detectors don't do that anyway. Yeah, I guess these 3D guns got them all scared. That's what it is. You can't 3D print stuff and get away with it, they're saying. That's probably the line they're selling to get the money for this. All those polymer guns, etc. The product is called Hexwave, can be hidden in walls and other structures, obscured by clothing and bags. As Liberty Defense describes it, it strikes the balance between privacy on one side and security and safety. Hexwave seems to be right in the sweet spot, except the government's going to hide it in public spaces and track everybody with their facial recognition and create a database out of the whole thing. So really it doesn't. That is a Total Recall, right, West Winds? Yeah, Total Recall. Where he jumps in the scanner and jumps out. So this agreement with the Attorney General in Utah facilitated introductions between the company and prospective clients and advising interested parties on the potential of use. Park City Police have discussions with the company. Of course, they've got the money. Anywhere does. Park City, Utah, you think would have the cash to look at something like that. Testing it at Sundance. Like there's a bunch of gun carriers at Sundance, right? So they're not going to get any objections from the people that do the Sundance Film Festival. So they'll, I guess, test and see if it runs, run a couple of test subjects through there. But the people that do it aren't going to, they'll probably love that. Because the imaging technology identifies objects rather than the people carrying them, Reyes says he believes it could be less invasive than facial recognition or even driver's license. But that's just the step between mating this up with facial ID or facial recognition is just like, it's not even a step. It's already there. All you do is match these things up with what's being scanned in a facial recognition system, and boom, you've got a database of a complete compiled database. And besides, I guess, I guess if you're a location that says no concealed carry in this facility, like you might want to have one of these. But other than that, what's the justification? You're going to identify people that have weapons, but that doesn't mean you're going to watch them all day as they walk around to see if they pull it, because they could be, a licensed carrier. It doesn't make any sense. But yeah, that's a short step between matching this up and just having a full database of who carries what. Anyway, that's my 10 cents on that. But that's so that's going on. Thanks, Alicia. And there's also a link to the Salt Lake Tribune here on the third way. So it's trickled down here. So they're selling it at school stadiums and churches, even though they're going to test it at Sundance amongst the rich and famous. Will it ever be deployed in schools? Probably not. So I guess you could try to sell it as a scanner for gun-free zones. But that's probably as far as that's going to get. But again, the implication is the government's going to use it in public with facial recognition, just like the Chinese have implemented, and it's going to go downhill from there. That's the bad side, I guess you'd say. But they're going to sell it as keeping guns out of gun-free zones is how they're going to sell it, even though just about every instance of a mass shooting, the person deploys the weapon before they enter the gun-free zone, because they're all soft targets, and they're not walking in there with a concealed weapon, like sneaking in. They're pulling it out of a backpack as they walk down the sidewalk, or out of the car as they pull up to the front of the wherever they're at or whatever. There's some documents on here, the memorandum of understanding between the corporation and the state attorney general, to potentially, so locations for potential testing, sporting and concert arenas, stadiums, and Olympic venues. So they're hoping Utah gets the Olympics back, I guess. I think they might be a few years out from that. Primary, secondary, and higher education facilities, places of worship, facilities and property owned by or affiliated with faith entities, government offices, building facilities, amusement parks, and entertainment events, concert shows, and festivals. So that would be interesting to read. This has got the more details to it. We'll get this in there. It's amazing where the beast reveals itself. It's almost like Romney's running the whole state. Romney becomes the Utah senator, and look what just all kinds of bad stuff starts happening. Again, they're trying to sell this like it's anonymous, because it identifies objects. But again, it's a short leap to match it up. It's not even hard. But yeah, this article gets more in depth to it in that article. This document would probably be, it's 5-page document here with the MOU between them and the Attorney General, what they're going to do. So anybody in Utah definitely needs to look into it, but it's probably coming the way of other places as well that aren't quite as open in their records as Utah. So there's probably some other state, maybe even Georgia, where this company's based out of, I believe. No, a Massachusetts corporation, my bad. Not Georgia. Sorry to throw Georgia under the bus. I thought I read that somewhere else. It's a Massachusetts corporation. So I would imagine this has already been deployed to Massachusetts somewhere, right? To test it out. Why would they go all the way to Utah when they can test it in their backyard? In a place that's much more amenable to, hey, just stop everybody from carrying everything. It would be interesting to see who's up. Liberty Doll is up in Massachusetts. I wonder if she could do a story on these folks and what they do. Dig to the bottom of who runs it. It's one of those, the name doesn't reveal their true intentions. The Liberty Defense Technology, yeah, they make you, it's a good title for a company that's trying to undermine everything, every liberty you have. All right, let me check in on the side chat. Thanks, Alicia, for that. That's a good link, though. That's good stuff. Walter asking him and getting phone calls asking you to verify your business with Google. Huh. There's all kinds of scams out there, Walter. You never know. Iron Witch has checked in with us. Good morning. People faking their death to get off a list. Walter says he's been getting them a lot and hanging up on them. Sounds like a good idea, Walter. Rich Hollywood infiltrates Utah. Yeah, Park City in particular. Yeah. Saints says the spy grid continues. It doesn't make him feel any safer. I would think that would be true. Yeah, exactly, Alicia. So many people carry in Utah, like it's going to put it's a chilling effect. It's like, okay, now this stuff's in place. Now who's not going to know that you carry? I guess the only solution would be to ever just carry everywhere. And what are they going to do? Okay, you got 10,000 people that just walk through your scanner today. But it's these gun-free quote unquote zones that they're pushing for this. But I don't doubt that they'll be in public. Like it talks about entertainment events, and Park City is an open event in the town, right? So if they're talking to the police in Park City, is Park City a gun-free zone, Alicia? I don't think it's, it's not a closed event. Park City's open during Sundance. And if they deploy this publicly, that's really the bad side of it. Like, what are they going to do? Stop everybody that gets targeted as a carrier or something? Yeah, you have to figure out how to get him out right, Alicia. Get rid of Romney as soon as possible. It's bizarre that they actually elected him in Utah. Walt, how it works when somebody, I don't think it works then, Walter. I think it's supposed to work when it's concealed. This Hexel thing doesn't work from once things have been deployed. That's not going to help. Wayne says, I wonder if Romney is an investor, right? Yeah, he's got ties to Massachusetts. That's a good point. All kinds of questions on that. And open carry. Okay, open carry as well. Toxic. I didn't think about that. Yeah. Figure out how to locate the scanners. Yeah, it's interesting how they said it can be hidden in walls and such. So it's not even like a airport scanner. You don't even see it there. It's embedded in the walls and things like that. That's kind of interesting. So I guess this would be a part of the impending AI control grid. They'll just go automated and just send killer robots after you once it's determined where you're located, because you have crossed the state or crossed the line, whatever that might be. You have identified yourself as a free individual. You must be eliminated. But getting back to this story, don't store 28 guns in a storage shed. I get staging is a cache, one or two maybe, or something, whatever you think might be good, but basically putting your whole, safe full of guns in a storage shed is not going to be the way to go. It says here, surveillance video showed that burglary was released. 3 of the firearms and 2 scopes were pawned at a pawn shop. That's how they started tracking it down. As well as firearms, ammunition, and accessories were stolen. And there's one guy still on the loose as of Tuesday of this week. This fellow named Myers in Brigham City. Where's Brigham City, Alicia? Brigham City, Utah? Brigham City is where the burglary occurred. Box Elder County. So they're still looking for the second guy that stole the guns. And that goes back to we talk about being under cover of darkness, with Midwest, what he's talked about, and just OPSEC. We had that video about OPSEC a while back, and talking about people watching you moving things. I mean, there you go. Like somebody had to know. These guys had seen what he did, or he told somebody he shouldn't have, or something to that effect, right? That's the only way these guys could have figured out which storage unit stuff was in, how much was in there. They probably figured it was a large amount, and he either did it under daylight and easily in view, or had told the wrong people, or maybe they were in a quote unquote group together. I mean, the further details would be interesting as to how they found out and identified this specific storage unit as the target. The burglary actually happened on May 5th. The renter of the storage space told police that numerous items have been stolen from the unit, He made a detailed list. Some of the stuff was pawned, which they tracked down once it was listed as stolen. Yeah, if people don't know, there's the pawn shops usually have an agreement and have a system with local police to check firearms as they come into a pawn shop against a stolen list. So even if they buy a firearm off somebody, they'll hold it before they try to resell it to check and see if it comes up stolen after a period of time, depending on the policies of the pawn shop. But a lot of them do that. Man, this whole story's got a whole other rabbit trail we could go down, but we're over time a little bit, folks. We need to roll out. Thanks everybody for checking in. Billy Bird Outdoors has rolled in with her cup of coffee here at the last second as I go to the bottom of my glass. Chance B has also checked in here last minute. Yeah, go back to the beginning. You can always rewind and watch it at your leisure as you walk on the treadmill, run on the treadmill, as you drive home, whatever you need to do. But thanks everybody for checking in. Thanks for hitting the thumbs up button, spreading the word, doing what you do. Yeah, we'll see if we can get this story about this scanner deal to Liberty Doll. That seems like something should be interested in tracking down some of the details. We'll see if we can get that over. I don't know if I have an email or anything on her channel. But she's into the guns and 2A community stuff. And Mountain Man says, figure out how to beat the scanners with some sort of shielding. Yeah, exactly how they work would be an interesting. I mean, it sounds like they're going to look at the form and shape because they're not scanning for metal. It's not like they're scanning for a certain type of object or a certain type of material, I don't think, because a regular scanner would do that, right? So this is more of a shape and looks at the shape of things. So if you think if it's a aluminum or silver coating case, but then it would make your weapon pretty much undeployable, maybe. I don't know. We'd have to think about it. Silver lined clothes, maybe. How about that, Mountain Man? A silver lined jacket that just creates a shield around you. You know, kind of like a Faraday cage around you to a certain extent that scatters any waves coming at you. Maybe that's a potential. I guess it depends on how this technology works. Everybody's out. Okay, we'll be safe. It ain't over till HDP, right, Billy Bird? Yeah, when Billy Bird shows up, I don't think Tommy Boy checked in. I think you might be out of luck with antlers today. Tommy Boy has not been in here today doing his thing. Rooster says a Goodfellas plot at the storage shed. Yeah, and I got to go check out Delaware Patriots video from Run Out of Ammo and SHTF. I was like, I've got some comments on that I got to have in my head there, Delaware, looking at it. I'm like, oh, I've got thoughts. But I got to see exactly what you say. I didn't see Bear's video either, but I got to track that down if I get over there and check it out. And anybody in Northern Idaho, Tyler over at Let's Talk About Prepping is talking about a YouTube community building event, which would be interesting. So now we will officially check out, and y'all have a good weekend if we don't see you. Remember, Memorial Day is for those who have fallen. Remember those who have not come back. Live free.